Hello. Walked into the break room at my job this week. One of my coworkers had cooked fish in the microwave. And in that moment, that single moment, finally understood the death penalty. I got another coworker. She's very much a self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist, like whatever you got, vaccines, elections, shape of the earth. Any of that stuff, she's all for it, the tinfoil hat, all that. Frankly, I think we ought to take all the conspiracy types and round them up and put them in one of those states we don't need. Let's call it Wyoming. Maybe concentrate them in a camp, put a real positive spin on that term. I don't know, build a wall, that was trendy for a while. Burn it to the ground, I don't really care. Don't put a comedian in charge. Frankly, I think we got too many states. Like, we got that whole bit in the middle, it's just 40-year-old grandmothers and above-ground swimming pools. We don't need that. We can just float it out to sea on a river of Code Red Mountain Dew. We'd just be a nation of coast. Do you really think we would have kept New Jersey around if it wasn't for Bruce Springsteen? Like, we would have blown that state clean across the Atlantic and let Ireland fight over more land that nobody wants. Chris Christie would just be floating on the whole state like it was the door from Titanic. I actually saw a petition online not that long ago to sell Montana to Canada for $1 trillion to help alleviate the national debt. This is 100% true. The reasoning was that Montana is useless. And folks, it's hard to argue with facts. I didn't know that much about Montana. The only thing I really knew about it was that it's full of people who vote against their best interest, and that their biggest export is the sky. Which, I guess like technically even New Jersey has. I know that Joe Rogan goes there to murder animals and then cry and masturbate over the corpse about the death of whatever masculinity is. Have you tried DMT? So I did some research. I thought, it's a little unfair to treat Montana that way. And it took 5 letters before Google was like, oh, you mean the state? You sure you don't want to watch Scarface? You sure? So I watched Scarface, then I did some research on Montana, and it turns out that the legendary actor Gary Cooper is from Montana. I like him, he's cool. Visionary film director David Lynch, also from Montana. Big fan of his. Well, then I found out that Hall of Fame NBA championship coach Phil Jackson is from Montana. And growing up, I hated the Chicago Bulls, man. That documentary, The Last Dance, was just about a bully with the Hitler mustache who sucked at baseball. If he could hit a curveball. Yeah, man. And like, let's look at that price tag a bit. Like, $1 trillion to sell Montana. Do you know what you can buy for $1 trillion? Canada. You could probably buy the whole country. They'd probably have to sweeten the deal a little bit with like tickets to see the Maple Leafs, or like Tim Hortons coupons or something like that, maybe like the Bryan Adams box set, because that shit cuts like a knife. There's my people. I am from the South. I have lived here my whole life. I assume most everyone here is. Anyone doing the DNA, like know your family kind of shit? Going to 16andme.com or whatever, because we're in the South and you've got left. White people going to didmyfamilyownpeople.com, taking that test where you spit in your mom's mouth and you find out if your grandkids are going to have red hair or not. Yeah, I've lived in the South for way too long, and I don't want to know anything about my family. Anything. Like, I knew 3 of my grandparents, and that was one too many. I know that both sides of my family have lived in this area since before the Civil War. It's not going to be beneficial to me to know more about people born before 1916, right? Like, I know that on both sides of my family, we had people fight for the Confederacy. And I know that's trending now, and that'll win you certain Republican primaries, maybe. But it's still arguably a bad thing. I do, however, know that on my mom's side of the family, I'm related to the Wright brothers. So if you think about it, kind of responsible for 9/11. All right, I'm JT Cole, guys. Thanks for listening.